tensions flaring again in downtown LA as anti-ICE protesters take to the streets. This is the 5th straight day of this. About an hour ago, they got onto the 101 freeway. You can see the freeway is back open.
A lot of law enforcement presence right there. Take a look at the view from the ground when that happened on the freeway. Video there on the right, live pictures on the upper left. You can see CHP mobilized quickly to move those protesters off the freeway. Not a repeat of what we saw this weekend. The confrontation shut down traffic for about 10 minutes. At the moment, traffic is flowing.
Good evening. Welcome to Fox 7 News at 5, simulcast on Fox 11 and Fox 11 Plus. I'm Alex Michelson.
And I'm Christine Devine. Here is where things stand at this hour in Los Angeles. A Marine battalion is here in Los Angeles, but is not yet engaged near protests. The 700 Marines were sent from 29 Palms to aid some 1,700 National Guard already on the ground, but 4,000 are being deployed statewide. Governor Newsom filed an emergency request in federal court to block the Trump administration and use of the National Guard and Marines, but a federal judge has denied that. At
least for now. They may get a hearing on that later. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is revealing the cost of all this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the deployment of Marines and the Guard will cost at least $134 million. LA Mayor Karen Bass has called for ICE raids to end. That's not the plan, according to Hegseth, who says immigration enforcement could last for 60 days and things could escalate further, with President Trump suggesting he's open to invoking the Insurrection Act. Today, he used some heated rhetoric in his speech at Fort Bragg, calling LA protesters animals and a foreign enemy.
On Monday night, protests did turn violent. We saw more vandalism, violence, and there were 96 arrests, according to the LAPD.
So protests against federal immigration enforcement heating up again. We're going to begin our coverage of it right now.
Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf joining us live from the downtown LA area again with the latest. Matthew?
Yeah, we're right now on the police line where protesters have been out here all day long. We're at Alameda and Temple Street. You can see there are some protesters kind of taking a break right now over there in the shade, but the majority of the ones that were here actually went that direction at least a few blocks. They've been kind of bouncing around where we are right now. But Sammy, if you want to just flip and show the massive line of LAPD cars out here, we're seeing so many police officers. There's just a giant change of what we've been seeing the last few days. Police departments from all over the area out here, as far as Devonshire Division for LAPD. And if we flip it this way, this is where we're outside the federal detention center. We saw at least 30 people get arrested. They got a little bit too close, and there was a little bit of a face-off earlier today with members of law enforcement. You can see that LAPD bus. Again, at least 30 people arrested there. And then as tensions were building here, more and more people left this scene and went over to the 101 freeway, blocking portions of that freeway. There's currently a standoff in place between protesters at that scene and members of law enforcement. But at this point, it seems like people are just kind of bouncing around. These protesters haven't really figured out exactly where they're going to go. It seems like there's also just this overwhelming force of police and members of law enforcement out here. Definitely right now, it seems like members of law enforcement are outnumbering the number of protesters that we're seeing in downtown. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
So, Matthew, it also is striking the body language is different today as well.
Yeah, completely different, much calmer, right? I mean, there's not really that sense of energy that we were feeling at this time yesterday where you could feel like something was going to happen. I mean, if we can just pan and look at the majority of the protesters on the block that we're seeing, they're kind of just standing there, looking around, hanging out in the shade. There's some signs and stuff, but for the most part right now, it's fairly quiet, at least where we are here at Alameda and Temple.
So, Matthew, also, we know there are fewer protesters out there today. The scene that you were showing with that police bus and hearing about the almost 100 arrests by the LAPD, people who are wondering what's happening to some of these people that are especially committing the violence. What do you make of hearing of about 100 arrests?
Yeah, we actually have an update on that. According to sources, we're hearing that at least 130 arrests so far today, and that's almost as many as we've seen the previous 3 days combined. So law enforcement out here definitely making their presence known, and just a major shift from what we've seen the previous days.
And some arrested today as part of their peaceful protest. There's a long history of that. People that are being taken into custody as a statement, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the people that are choosing to be arrested, to make that statement for political reasons. We're not exactly sure, I'm sure that there were portions of people in this crowd that were taken away in the bus that were arrested, you could say, by choice, but there were definitely some that it was not their choice. They had a little bit of a face-off with police that might have gone a little bit too far.
Well, as we are looking at your live shot there, I couldn't help but notice all of the graffiti behind you. And I'm thinking as people around the nation watch Los Angeles, as they have been for 5 days now, you can't help but take notice of the destruction and the damage there, just the graffiti alone.
Yeah, sorry about showing that graffiti, but it's hard not to because there's so much of it. It's everywhere. We won't pan and show it, obviously, but it's pretty much all the blocks. You see the F word and you see ICE, a lot of derogatory language. You see vandalism, benches that are torn up, concrete sidewalks that are torn up. Yeah, it's tough to see.
Are you seeing more cops out there than protesters?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So far today, I mean, look at this massive line. This is all LAPD right here. And then if you, it's even on the next street over, and we've been seeing them kind of driving all over the blocks. You'll see them with their sirens on, as well as California Highway Patrol with them. Just a massive show of force today. Definitely, it seems like the protesters are on the move, and the police departments out here are not letting them really gather in one spot too long.
And just noting, as we see all those officers there, so many of them in those long sleeve uniforms, just noting it's a bit warm out there this afternoon.
Yeah, it is a little bit warm, and a lot of these police officers are putting in just massive amounts of hours. All these officers working overtime. You're talking about 12-hour days, but also some of them working much longer than that, as much as 20-hour days. So they're feeling it. It's been a long few days for them. It's been a long few days for the protesters as well, and maybe that's why so far tonight it's a little quieter.
That's all expensive too, if you think about it. We know this cost for the military apparently $134 million. We know LA's in a big budget deficit. Sometimes when we see these, and we've covered these for so many years, there's a moment when the quote-unquote fever breaks, when things start to go in the other direction. It seems like we may have hit that moment. Last night may have been the end of it, but the real test, Matthew, is what happens after dark when the Antifa folks and all those folks come out. Last night they were allowed to basically do whatever they wanted, and then at the end of the night some of them were arrested. Still got to see what happens on that front tonight.
Yeah, that's a good point. And don't forget, too, I mean, there were people that were trying to take over the 101 freeway about an hour ago. So there are still people trying to make their presence known in the downtown area tonight for this protest. But it definitely seems like law enforcement is on top of it, and they have the numbers right now to put an end to it pretty quick.
Well, you heard LAPD Chief Jim McDonald talk about how they really can gauge how protests ramp up when there's an incident or situation. And he said it takes 2 or 3 days, and that would have put it at Sunday for those 2 or 3 days. Of course, it being a weekend allows many more people to make their voices known, get out there, protest, and also people, as you say, the disruptors and those instigators and things like that. But really, this show of LAPD force in this pretty much same area where people have been showing up, which is near the federal building and that 101 freeway, quite the statement if you're planning to show up as a protester or to do some damage. Quite a statement, right, Matthew, by police?
Yeah, I mean, if you come down here right now, you're going to be met with a large, overwhelming police presence, and it's going to be tough if you're trying to cause issues to do that tonight, because even just walking around the town right now, you'll just see police driving by, lights and sirens on. Even driving by just this intersection where we're standing by these protesters, we've been seeing them whip around here with the big buses as well. I mean, it just seems like they want to make their presence known to deter any more issues this evening.
Yeah, Matthew Cedar.
And then there's this.
Thank you for that reporting.